So we have three presentations tonight. The first of which, I'm going to ask the students to come up, identify who they are. The first of which deals with Meatless Monday. So come on up and come to the mic, tell us who you are, and then give your presentation, please. Maybe you guys could turn it around. Yeah, there you go.
Now the TV won't see it.
Oh.
They need to hear the TV.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, use the microphone. Just pull it down towards you. There you go. And just speak towards it. Yeah. Just identify each one of who you are.
I'm Molly Rose Smith.
I'm Olivia Cui.
I'm Isabella Diaz.
Okay.
And we're the Meatless Mondays group.
Okay, so we'd like to talk about implementing a Meatless Monday system into our food service. But before we talk about that, I'd like to introduce the issue of red meat. So most of you probably know that red meat is unhealthy, and in comparison to white meat, it's probably not the one you want to eat. Well, this is because there are carcinogens found in red meat, and when it's cooked, the carcinogens sort of activate, and that in turn can lead to cancer, diabetes, obesity, and other different types of diseases. There are also high levels of unsaturated fat in red meat, and that can also lead to many diseases, heart attacks, strokes, heart disease, and even death in severe cases. Now, on the contrary, white meat is actually very protective of your immune system, and it actually can reduce the amount of risks that your body can take while undergoing a large consumption of red meat. So while we were researching a solution for this problem, we decided to implement a Meatless Monday solution into our Summit Public Schools service.
What is Meatless Monday, you may ask? Meatless Monday is a program where you reduce the amount of red meat and highlight and increase the amount of healthier options, such as white meat, beans, and vegetables. We'd like to implement this to start our school as a pilot for 1 week. We'd like to do this by adding these healthier options to the menu, and on Mondays we would exchange the sandwich bar for a salad bar. We'd like to do this because students, they already have the option to choose what they want, but it might not be the healthiest for them, and they might want something healthier. We would like to first implement this at our school and hopefully impact the entire town. Meatless Mondays wouldn't cost us a penny. It would actually save us $400 a year, in which we could use in other much-needed areas of the school, such as adding water fountains and making our infrastructure much better. We would contact Pontonian Food Service and ask them to add meatless options on Mondays and lessen the price of the whole food. We would also contact Meatless Mondays, as they would give us a grant to add lessons to our classes to teach students about Meatless Mondays. We would also put posters around the school, all funded by Meatless Mondays, to raise awareness and get recipes from them to make students implement this in their home life. We're not against eating meat. We think meat is very healthy for growing students. But as everything in life, eating too much meat could cause harmful diseases and many other things. So we would like to implement Meatless Mondays to change the way Summit eats forever.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there questions from members of council? Can let me start off. Did you guys talk to your other students, and what was their reaction to it?
We made a survey, and not many of them thought Meatless Monday was very important. But we actually think there's a lot of diseases going around in town, such as a family friend of mine. He almost had a stroke from eating too much meat, and not many people realize how important other options, such like meatless options, are to your body.
Does anybody have questions?
Yes, I'd love to.
Wait, hold on.
I just want to acknowledge, like over the years, we've all given presentations, and we're like this, reading from a script.
Yes.
They did that with no script, and it was phenomenal.
Yes, very nicely done.
So I
Susan.
absolutely want to applaud your recommendations here, and I want to hear about how it goes in the home. Are you all having meatless opportunities in the home?
Okay, so actually Molly here, her family is mostly vegetarian, so she already doesn't eat that much meat. And then Isabella and I, we would both be vegetarians if our parents would let us. Yeah,
Your
they
parents
said
are in
that
the
eating
audience,
meat.
right? Okay.
They said that eating meat was vital to our health and our growth, so we were sort of forced to not become vegetarian until we grow up.
I do have chances at home to not eat meat when I refuse to eat my mom's food sometimes, and she makes the other foods, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Public speaking is not easy, girls and young ladies, and you did a really great job, so I appreciate your coming here tonight.
Yes, very much so. We all appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go on to the next group. We have the vaping group to come up. So, again, same thing. If you guys could identify yourselves and show your presentation.
Hi, I'm Kate Sharman. I'm Ella Callahan.
I'm Sienna Kessler.
And today we'd like to bring to your attention the recent crisis of vaping that has surfaced throughout Summit and throughout the nation. We have found that this has affected mostly middle schoolers and high schoolers, and the reason for this is the main producer of vapes, the company Juul, has actually been targeting their advertisement towards teenagers by using appealing flavors such as mint, cucumber, tutti frutti, and something that kids would be drawn to. We have researched that there have been multiple vape-related deaths and countless amount of people admitted into the ICU for vaping-related illnesses. And we have found that Summit has not done anything major to prevent this from happening to any of the citizens. They've just kind of told students that vaping was bad, but they haven't gone into depth on what it really does to your body and how it can affect you long-term and short-term. And vaping is technically legal, so it would be a much bigger deal to eliminate vaping altogether. But we have found ways to limit vaping, and yeah.
So we decided that we interviewed some of our classmates and adults, like our parents and other citizens of Summit. And so we asked them questions like, do you think that this is an issue that's important and that it should be addressed? And the majority of people, the 74% of the people that we interviewed said that it was a very important issue that needs to be addressed, and it's a reoccurring issue. So I think that it's important that we do something about this.
So this vaping epidemic has definitely taken its toll, and it's definitely starting to take its toll on Summit. So this is definitely something that needs to be addressed, and thankfully there are ways that we can address this issue. So one of the ways would be partnering with the county health department to create a public health campaign, which would basically mean putting up posters around the town to, amongst other things, to raise awareness and demonstrate to our city what vaping really does and how it affects children and parents alike. Another thing we could do is implement a prevention specialist into the elementary schools, mostly fifth graders, to just introduce them into what vaping is, and further explain in the middle schools and the high schools, and go more into depth on why vaping is such a big problem and what it really does, because not many kids are aware of what vaping does to your bodies and the effects that it has on you.
So adding on to the specialist, we would have the specialist come in, a certified prevention specialist, come in and do an assembly for middle schoolers, high schoolers, and possibly even fifth graders. And he would also come in and talk to the parents to educate the parents on how to identify the vapes, because lots of parents don't know what vapes look like and how to find them and how to know if your kid is on a vape or using a vape.
And this actually has become a lot more difficult for the parents due to
brand vape distributors, putting vapes in things such as sweatshirt hoodies, watches, pens, and so kids are able to vape right under the noses of their parents and teachers. And there was this one video that showed a bunch of kids in a classroom. They all got vapes, and they were all hidden, so sweatshirt hoodies and watches. And the parents and the teachers were challenged to go and find the vapes, and in the end, the parents and the administrators couldn't even find half of the vapes that were in that room. And this makes it very easy for these kids to damage themselves by vaping. Now, the specialist would cost from around $150 to $250 per assembly, and this would mostly come out of the budget of the school PTO. We think that another good thing would be to put around no vaping signs. So there are a lot of no cigarette signs, as I'm sure you all have seen, but people are starting to create like no vaping signs because that's become another major issue. So putting those in stores and around Summit to limit the amount of places that kids can vape would definitely be beneficial.
Great, thank you. This is an extremely important issue. There is without a doubt what you guys have identified is a huge public health issue, something that we all need to take very seriously. Commend you for raising it here, because I think people should hear that students and kids or young adults are very much concerned about their own health and their impact to their own friends. And I think that you're absolutely right, that we do have a responsibility to do something about it. So I'm going to open up for questions. Beth?
Thank you. I want to commend you as well. That was an excellent presentation. Your public speaking skills were tremendous as well. I had one question for you, and then I have a question for Chief Weck. Do you feel that the recent news about vaping deaths and injuries to kids, is that well known among your peers and population, or do you feel like that's still something that kids think isn't going to happen to them?
Sadly, I don't think that many kids realize what vaping is. A lot of kids still think vaping is just smoking water. They don't understand the harm that it has.
And actually, we found that kids that vape are twice as more likely to go back to cigarettes.
When they're older. And there are definitely kids in our grade that we know vape. They vape in the libraries, they'll vape in the bathrooms, and there's not much that's being done to prevent that, and they're obviously not educated on the effects, so they don't stop.
Thank you. Chief Weck, is in the DARE program, is vaping specifically addressed, and has that been added to the DARE program?
So it's not officially in the curriculum, the DARE officers do touch on it, and January 7th at the high school, the Summit Police Department and the Board of Education is holding a vaping, anti-vaping seminar for parents, and then one for the students is in the works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marjorie.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm just curious, has there been anything done at the advisories about vaping at the school?
Not really specifically going into vaping. It's been more like drugs and alcohol as a whole, not specifically touching on vaping directly.
There definitely have been, it has been spoken about a little, but not as much as it needs to be addressed.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
Thank you, and thank you for raising this extremely important issue. So we will be discussing in the Safety Committee the ways that Summit can be limiting access to vapes from teenagers, especially who are most vulnerable and also who are being targeted by the ads from the vape companies. So we're going to be discussing that in the next couple meetings, and we're aware that other towns in the region, including Westfield, have also passed some ordinances. So we're moving forward on that. Thank you.
Nora.
I'm really glad to hear, Chief, that we're doing something on January 7th, because I think definitely there's a role for government, but frankly, parents need to be involved here. I mean, that's the number one line of defense. They need to be educating themselves and their children, and there's plenty of stuff in the news. Parents should be learning this. So I'm delighted, because that's where it needs to start.
I want to congratulate you guys. Excellent presentation, ladies. You really did a great job. And what I'm really excited about is I think it's great that parents have to be more educated on this, and I love the fact that it sounds like the schools are bringing in people to help educate students. But what is fantastic about your presentation is that your peers are the ones that you guys are trying to reach.
Right.
And the most powerful message that can affect behavior changes amongst your peers, your age group, is coming from you guys. So it's fantastic that you're bringing this up and making it aware. And I would encourage, whatever way, raise your hand, get involved, because when you speak to your fellow classmates, it's so much more powerful than someone my age speaking to your classmates. I'm just saying. So I applaud what you guys are doing, and keep it up. It's fantastic. That's how the message is going to get out to young people.
Steve?
I just want to thank you guys again, and I really enjoyed our time that we met last month or whatever. And what I thought was so impressive last time was we got into a discussion. These three are great athletes as well, and they were talking about how swimming, soccer, and lacrosse, their lung capacity, would be affected by it. So, the fact that they're taking it to that level and saying this is how it's going to affect you, kudos to y'all.
Great job.
Chief, yeah, absolutely.
So so it's 7 p.m. on the 7th at the high school. They're going to have speakers from Prevention Links, a doctor that specializes in lung disorders, as well as a psychologist to talk about addiction, and then there'll be a question and answer panel.
Ms. Martin, do you want to come up and?
I was just going to say, if the 8th graders are comfortable raising their hand if they know somebody that is vaped, I think the statistic, if you're comfortable raising, or like somebody in 8th grade or a friend, it's pretty prevalent. And I guess the question that I have for you guys, I think the other element of this epidemic is social media. And so seeing the videos and who can puff the most out, how much do you think social media influences 8th graders in Kids in Summit to do the vaping?
Well, I don't have social media, so I don't know.
I think social media does have a big effect on kids our age, because everyone wants to hop on the new trend, and if this is something that's really popular right now, then I feel like that attracts more kids our age. So I don't think.
Yeah, especially there's a thing on the app Snapchat called Private Stories, where it's private, not everyone can see it, and only a select group of people that you choose can see it. And when that's private and you feel that, or the people that are doing it feel that nobody can see it, they're more drawn to do it because nobody will find out, and that really influences them.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everyone, what people have been saying, that it's not only, it's parents, it's government's role, it's peer pressure from you guys, talking to your peers, and it's getting people who are professionals involved to help you guys. It's certainly not one way of doing it, but it's a combination of trying to reach people, because you read the stories of what it does to people's lungs as far as vaping and how dangerous, and it's terrible that these companies have gone out specifically in trying to basically market to young people in order to entice them to be involved.
There's a store. Oh yeah. I mentioned this to Councilman Bowman last time we were at the public policy presentation. There's actually a store on the street Beechwood, which is a very popular street for elementary, middle, and high schoolers. It's where the Starbucks and the Sweet Nothings is. And right across from that line of stores is a store with a glass window, completely clear, and the first thing you see when you look in it is the entire back wall filled with vape and Juul products. That's being advertised to the kids, and there's a bunch of signs telling kids to or advertising it in the front of the store so everyone can see it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, we'll look into that. Anyone else? Any other comments? Again, thank you very much for bringing this, issue up. And you, as your colleagues just before you guys did an excellent job in your presentation. Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah. Okay. Last group are folks that want to talk about water fountains with us. So come on up.
I'm Natalie Jorek,
And I'm Dante Donaldson.
and we have a third member, but he wasn't able to join us tonight, Keith Mahatamachai.
There's a major problem in Summit, and it's...
Dante, if you could just come to the mic
Yeah,
and
sure.
speak closer. Yeah, that's great, thank you. Speak
There
louder.
are not a lot of water fountains in Summit. At major fields, Tatlock, Glenside, Memorial, and that can cause people to throw their empty water bottles just on the ground and without reusing them. And that causes, of course, more plastic waste. A way to solve this would be to implement a tax on sugary beverages, and also implement water fountains. So it actually helps people have more healthier options, and kind of almost encourages them to drink water. We would put these water fountains in high foot traffic areas and major fields, such as Glenside, Tatlock, Memorial Field. We'd put one in front of the train station. All these places would be, I think, would get a lot of use.
Adding on to what Dante said, there are currently a few water fountains in Summit. There's one near Brayton School, which is always very dirty, unsanitary, and overall gross. And there's another one near Mondo, a store that it's very, like, it seems very old and like unsanitary like the other one. And there's a couple images on our poster board that shows like different like models of water fountains that are suitable for outdoor use from the same company, LK, that makes indoor water fountains that the school has. And we would, as Dante said, like possibly install them around Summit using a grant from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. And now it is quite expensive, and to cover the cost of installation of 7 water fountains, like and installation fees, a grant would be needed of $90,000, which is a lot, but I feel like along with all of Summit is a very kind of sporty town. There's a lot of people like on the fields and walking around, and I feel like it would definitely improve the overall quality of life in Summit if there were like, you know, cleanly sanitary water fountains around. And I feel like people would, you know, the Summit municipal budget of 2016 was $51.3 million. So I believe that there's enough money in the budget to squeeze in a couple of new water fountains in Summit.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So we'll say to Paul Cascades, our Director of Community Services, Paul, you better be going out there looking for those grants. What I will say, and thank you also for coming in for excellent job in your presentation. I remember seeing your presentation, and I think one of the cool things that if you see that display, they have pictures of water fountains that allow you to fill water bottles.
Right.
And so that goes to Dante's point about trying to reduce plastic pollution, which is something that, as we previously discussed, is something as our goal to try to reduce overall in town.
That's right. I believe that at the new community services building, all the water fountains there, they're all, you know, you put your water bottle in there. I mean, that's the goal. And as you know, yes, it is a large budget, but capital projects is a portion of it. So absolutely, something we are interested in. The question is when.
Yeah. Mike.
Thank you, Council President. No, another great
Great job.
presentation. Thank you so much. I know that the schools have probably been in front of where we are as a municipality. I know, because isn't it quite popular that the schools, there's a lot of those water fountains that are single fill, they're filtered, they're specifically for water bottles, and you see kids, they really are into them, and they've done a great job there. Are those still pretty popular at schools?
Yes, kids bring in their own metal water bottles and fill them up and use them the whole day.
Yeah, so I think that's a good example of, if you build it, they will come. I mean,
Yeah.
It's one of those things, so.
Thank you, Mike. Susan?
Well, thank you for an excellent and informative presentation. And I'd like to know, do you know other communities that have these outdoor water fountains?
Actually, so this isn't necessarily a local community, but it over the sea, like in Europe, outdoor water fountains are very, very popular. In France, there is an app that you can download that connects all of the different like water fountains that are around Paris in the capital, and like it's a very like easy way to like see, oh, there's a water fountain over here. I don't have to just like throw a water bottle on the ground. It's so like other like countries and places have ways to like even stay connected through hydration.
Yes. Adding on to Natalie, Los Angeles, California, they created an ordinance that everyone got an app that could track water fountain usage. And like I said before, they also had a tax. They had a tax on sugary beverages to encourage more water.
Steve?
What I think is neat about this is we've gone full circle. When we were kids, we grew up, there was a water fountain on every ball field that we played in. And the fact that you're encouraging something to that effect is really neat. And I strongly encourage that. So we may have to blow the water pipes out in the winter, but that's easily done.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. I want to thank you guys as well for coming in, and we appreciate, and all of you guys for coming in. So hold on a second. The mayor and I are going to come down and give you guys all certificates for your recognition for coming in tonight.
Council President, may we applaud
Oh, of
our
course,
awesome
everybody, yes, of
students?
course.
Isabella Diaz? Olivia Kate Sheeman? Ella Callahan? Sienna Kessler? Natalie Dorek? Dante Donaldson? Dante. Keith is not here, okay. And Molly Smith. This has been the best common council meeting we've had.
I would agree. It was fun. Thank you.
Do you guys want to get a group photo with everybody, in the two of you?
Sure, okay. Take a group photo with all you guys.
Who's taking the photo?
Chief White, he always does.
Come on, Chief. No, he's not. He's busy.
Do you guys want to come in? Come on, we can all come in. Come on.
All right.
I guess I called that right.
Do a photo
What
box.
you did.
Stand outside. Okay, you guys get in front. You will stand.
Well, totally, we are.
Yeah, I can't be.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much.